My parents said I was the reason their family was falling apart. I quietly canceled the $400 monthly rent payments I'd been making for 3 years. 8 weeks later, they were being evicted and begging me to come back. I'm Jake, 29 male, and I've been the family scapegoat since I could walk. My younger sister Ashley is 26 and has always been the golden child who could do no wrong. Classic dynamic, right? Except it got way worse than your typical sibling rivalry nonsense. Let me paint you a picture of how deep this goes. When Ashley was in high school, she totaled my mom's car driving without a license. Whose fault was it according to my parents' mind? Because I should have known she'd taken the keys and stopped her somehow. I was at college 3 hours away at the time, but apparently that was irrelevant. When she failed out of community college after 1 semester, that was also my fault. I should have been more supportive and helped her study. Never mind that she'd told me to stop bothering her when I offered tutoring. The narrative was that my success made her feel inadequate. So her failures were really my fault for not managing her feelings better. The pattern repeated for years. Ashley got fired from her retail job. I should have helped her practice customer service. Her boyfriend dumped her. I should have given her better relationship advice. She racked up credit card debt. I should have taught her financial responsibility. Somehow everything that went wrong in her life traced back to me not doing enough to prevent it. My parents enabled this insanity at every turn. Dad works as an insurance adjuster. Decent money, but nothing crazy. Mom does part-time bookkeeping for a dental office. They live in a 3-bedroom rental house that costs about $1,800 a month. Nothing fancy, just a standard suburban place with a yard and a 2-car garage. Here's where it gets interesting. I'm an industrial electrician. Started as an apprentice right out of high school, while Ashley was supposedly getting her education. Worked my way up, got my journeyman license, and now I make solid 6 figures doing commercial electrical work. I own my house outright, drive a paid-off truck, and have a savings account that would make my parents weep. Ashley, meanwhile, has bounced between minimum wage jobs for 8 years. She's currently working part-time at a pet grooming place and living with my parents. Has been since she dropped out of college. She pays exactly 0 in rent because she's saving up for her own place. Been saving for 6 years now with nothing to show for it, except a closet full of clothes she bought online. About 3 years ago, my parents started having money problems. Dad's company cut his hours. Mom's dental office reduced her to 1 day a week. They were struggling with rent, and I made the absolutely idiotic decision to help out. Started with just covering their shortfall that month. $300, no big deal. Then it became a regular thing. Every month, like clockwork, they'd be short on rent by anywhere from $2 to $600. I'd cover it because, hey, they're my parents and I didn't want them getting evicted. Looking back now, I realized they were using my money to subsidize Ashley's entire existence. She wasn't contributing anything to the household, so my rent help was basically funding her free ride. But I didn't see it then. I just saw my parents struggling and wanted to help. The real wake-up call came 6 months ago at Sunday dinner. We do this family dinner thing every other week. I show up, we eat, everyone pretends we're a functional family unit. That particular Sunday, I had just gotten back from a 2-week job installing electrical systems in a new manufacturing plant. Grueling work, 12-hour days, but the overtime pay was incredible. I walked in tired but in a decent mood, ready to zone out over pot roast and small talk. Ashley was already there, looking annoyed about something as usual. Mom was setting the table. Dad was carving the roast. Standard setup. "Jake, you're late," Mom said as I walked in. I was actually 10 minutes early, but sure, traffic was bad, I replied, not bothering to correct her. We sat down and started eating. The pot roast was good. I'll give Mom that. She always made decent comfort food, even if everything else about family dinners was uncomfortable. Dad started talking about work, some story about a difficult client who didn't understand their insurance policy. Mom chimed in about drama at the dental office. Normal stuff. Safe topics. I was actually starting to relax, thinking maybe this dinner would be different. Then Ashley cleared her throat in that way she does when she wants attention. Everyone immediately looked at her. Pavlovian response at this point, so she started pushing her food around her plate. My car has been making this really weird noise, like a grinding sound when I shift gears. Mom made a concerned noise. "Oh no, honey, did you take it to a mechanic?" "Yeah, I took it to that place on Maple Street. They said it's the transmission." She paused for dramatic effect. "It's going to cost like $1,200 to fix." Dad frowned. $1,200? That seems high. That's what they quoted me. They said if I don't get it fixed soon, the whole thing could go out, and then it'd be like $3,000. I kept eating my pot roast, staying quiet. I could see where this was heading from a mile away. This was the setup, and I was waiting to see how they delivered the ask. I don't have that kind of money just lying around. Ashley continued, her voice getting that whiny quality it takes on when she wants something. I'm barely making ends meet as it is with what they pay me at the grooming place. Have you been saving anything from your paychecks? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. Ashley shot me a look. It's hard to save when you're making minimum wage, Jake. You've been at that job for 8 months. Even saving $20 a week would give you over $600 by now. I have expenses. Like what? Like everything. Gas, food, clothes, going out with friends. Life costs money, right? But you don't pay rent here, and Mom cooks most of your meals, so really you're just talking about discretionary spending. Her face flushed. Not everyone can be as perfect with money as you, Jake. Jake. Maybe you could help your sister out, Mom suggested. Not asked, suggested like it was already decided. I've got my own expenses, I said carefully. You make good money, though, Dad chimed in. Ashley's struggling right now. Family helps family. Here we go. The family helps family speech that only ever applied in one direction. I help every month with your rent. I pointed out that's helping family. Ashley's face twisted into that expression she gets when someone mentions she's not pulling her weight. Oh, so now you're throwing that in their faces. Real classy Jake. I'm not throwing anything anywhere. I'm just saying I already help out. Yeah, well, maybe if you taught me better financial skills when we were younger, I wouldn't be in this position. Ashley shot back. I actually laughed at that one. Couldn't help it. I tried to teach you financial skills. You told me to mind my own business and that you didn't need my advice because I was being condescending about it. I was trying to help you set up a budget. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You always make me feel stupid about money. Mom jumped in before I could respond. Jake, you know Ashley has always been sensitive about these things. You could be more understanding. Understanding of what? She's 26 and can't afford a $1,200 car repair because she doesn't save any money. That's not sensitivity. That's poor planning. The temperature in the room dropped about 30 degrees. Dad put down his fork and gave me that look he reserves for serious conversations. That kind of attitude is exactly what we need to discuss, he said slowly. What attitude? Your constant criticism of your sister, your lack of empathy for what she's going through. I set down my own fork. Suddenly not hungry anymore. I'm not criticizing. I'm stating facts. Ashley doesn't save money, doesn't contribute to household expenses, and expects everyone else to bail her out whenever something goes wrong. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. Right on schedule. I can't believe you're being so mean to me right now. I'm not being mean. I'm being honest. Same thing Mom said sharply. You've always been too harsh with your sister. Dad leaned forward, elbows on the table. Jake, we need to have a serious conversation about your role in this family's problems. My role. Yes, your role. You've been causing issues for years, and we've tried to be patient, but it's getting out of hand. I genuinely thought he was messing with me. Looked at all three of them, waiting for someone to crack a smile or admit this was some weird joke. Nobody did. You think I'm causing the family's problems? You're always creating conflict, Mom said. Every time we have dinner, you find something to argue about. You make Ashley feel bad about herself. You refuse to help when we need you. I pay $400 a month toward your rent, and you never let us forget it, Dad replied. You hold it over our heads constantly. I mentioned it once just now because you were asking me to pay for Ashley's car repairs on top of the rent money. Ashley was full on crying now. See what you do? You make everything about money. Some of us aren't as successful as you, Jake. Some of us struggle, but you don't care about that, do you? You just care about rubbing your success in everyone's faces. I sat there in complete disbelief. This was actually happening. They were actually trying to make me the villain in a situation where I'd been bankrolling their lifestyle for 3 years. I'm not rubbing anything in anyone's face. I work 60 to 70 hours a week doing dangerous electrical work. I earned my success. And you think that makes you better than us? Mom said quietly. I never said that. You don't have to say it. We can tell how you look at us, especially Ashley. You judge her constantly. Dad jumped back in. That's what we need to address. Jake, you're the reason this family has problems. The words hung in the air like a bad smell. I looked at each of them, waiting for someone to disagree. Nobody did. Mom nodded. Ashley nodded through her tears. Dad just stared at me like he'd proven some great point. I'm the reason. Yes, Dad said firmly. Your attitude, your judgmental nature, your constant criticism, it creates a toxic environment for everyone else. I nodded slowly. Interesting. What's interesting? Mom asked. Nothing. Just processing this revelation about how I'm apparently the source of all your problems. Don't be sarcastic, Dad warned. I'm not being sarcastic. I genuinely find it interesting that I'm the problem. The guy who pays your rent every month is the problem. Got it. There you go again, Ashley said, throwing the rent thing in their faces. I stood up, done with this conversation. You know what? You're absolutely right. I am the problem, and I'm going to solve the problem right now. What does that mean? Mom asked, looking worried for the first time. It means if I'm the problem, then removing the problem should fix everything, right? So I'm removing myself from the situation. I walked out before anyone could respond, got in my truck and drove home, replaying that conversation in my head the entire way. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not the explosive yelling kind of angry, the cold, calculated kind that leads to decisions you can't take back. Every stoplight gave me time to process another layer of the insanity. They'd really sat there and told me I was the problem. The guy who'd been subsidizing their lifestyle for 3 years. The guy who never missed a payment, never complained about the money, never asked for gratitude. That guy was apparently the source of all their dysfunction. I thought about all the times I'd rushed to help them. The time Dad needed money for a business emergency that turned out to be covering Ashley's credit card bill. The time Mom called crying about not being able to afford Christmas presents. So I'd bought gifts for the whole family so Ashley wouldn't be disappointed. The countless dinners where I'd listened to Ashley complain about her life while contributing exactly nothing to fix it. And somehow I was the problem. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I'd made up my mind. They wanted me to be the problem. Fine, I'd be the problem, but on my term. This wasn't going to be some emotional outburst I'd regret later. This was going to be a clean, permanent break. I sat in my truck for a few minutes just looking at my house that I'd bought with money I'd earned through hard work and careful saving. The house that represented everything I'd built without their help. It suddenly hit me how much lighter my life could be without constantly worrying about their financial disasters. Inside, I grabbed a cold drink and sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop and pulled up my banking information. The automatic transfer was scheduled to go through in 3 days. $400 from my account to theirs, just like it had every month for 3 years. I stared at that scheduled transfer for a good 5 minutes. This was the point of no return. Once I canceled it, once I sent that text, there was no going back. Our relationship would be permanently altered. Good. I thought it needs to be. That night, I logged into my banking app and canceled the automatic transfer I had set up for their rent. $400 a month gone. Then I sent a text to the family group chat. After our conversation tonight, I've decided you're right. I am the problem in this family, so I'm solving the problem by removing myself from it. Effective immediately, I will no longer be contributing to the rent payments. I will also not be attending future family dinners. This will give you all a chance to figure things out without my toxic influence. Good luck. My phone exploded immediately. Texts, calls, voicemails. I ignored all of it, turned off my phone, and went to bed. The next morning, I had 47 missed calls and probably 100 texts. Most were some variation of, "You can't be serious," or "We need to talk about this." I responded to exactly none of them. 3 days later, Dad showed up at my house. I was in my garage working on my truck when his car pulled into the driveway. He got out looking tired and defeated. "We need to talk," he said. "About what?" "About you canceling the rent money, Jake. We can't afford the full amount without your help." I kept working on the truck, not looking at him. "That sounds like a problem." "It is a problem. A serious one." "Well, according to Sunday's dinner conversation, I'm the source of your problems. So, now that I'm not involved, you should be fine. Don't be ridiculous. You know we need that money. Then maybe Ashley should get a full-time job and contribute to the household. She's trying. She's looking for better positions. She's been looking for 6 years. Dad, at some point you have to accept she's not actually looking that hard." His face turned red. "See, this is exactly what we were talking about. You're judgmental and unsupportive." I finally stopped working and looked at him directly. "Dad, let me ask you something. Do you actually believe I'm the source of your family's problems? Or was that just a convenient excuse to pressure me into paying for Ashley's car?" He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "You have a pattern of creating conflict by doing what? Refusing to enable Ashley's irresponsibility. By expecting a 26-year-old adult to contribute to a household she lives in, she contributes in other ways, like what helps your mother around the house. She does laundry and dishes. So she does basic chores that anyone living somewhere should do. Congratulations. She's achieved the responsibility level of a teenager. You're being cruel again. I'm being honest. There's a difference. And you know what? I'm done apologizing for it. You guys made it clear. I'm the problem, so I'm removing the problem. Simple as that. Jake, please. We can't afford the rent without your help. The landlord already sent a late notice for this month. Sounds like you should figure something out then. What do you want us to do? That's not my problem anymore. Remember, I'm the toxic one who needs to be removed from the situation. This is me being removed." Dad tried a different approach. "What if we all sit down and talk this through, clear the air, pass? Jake, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You told me I was the problem. I agreed with you. Now I'm solving the problem by not being involved. This is the most reasonable I've been in years." He stood there for a minute trying to figure out what to say next, finally settled on, "Your mother is very upset about this. I'm sure she is. She didn't mean what she said at dinner. We were all just stressed. Funny how stress makes people reveal what they really think. We need you, Jake. Your sister needs you. My sister thinks I'm judgmental and unsupportive. She's better off without my toxic presence. Stop being dramatic." I went back to working on my truck. "I'm not being dramatic. I'm being logical. You guys identified a problem. I'm implementing the solution. That's how problems get solved." Dad tried for another 10 minutes before giving up. As he was leaving, he turned back and said, "You're going to regret this when we lose the house." "Probably not," I replied. But I guess we'll see." He left. I finished working on my truck, cracked open a soda, and enjoyed the peace and quiet. Over the next 2 weeks, the situation escalated in exactly the way I expected. Mom started calling from different numbers to get around my blocks. Ashley tried the crying voicemail approach. Dad sent emails about family responsibility and being there for each other. I ignored it all. Then I got a call from my uncle Greg, Dad's brother. Greg lives about 2 hours away and has always been pretty level-headed. We don't talk often, but when we do, it's usually decent conversation. Jake, your dad called me. Wants me to talk some sense into you. And are you going to? Depends on what actually happened. I'm getting his version, which seems suspicious. Want to give me yours? So I laid it all out. The 3 years of rent payments, Ashley's complete lack of contribution, the Sunday dinner where they blamed me for all the family's problems, the decision to remove myself from the situation since I was clearly the issue. Greg listened without interrupting, then said, so basically they've been using you as a personal bank and got mad when you pointed it out. That's the short version. Yeah, and they actually said you were the source of their problems. Word for word, Dad announced it like he was revealing some great truth. Everyone nodded along. That's messed up. Tell me about it. So what's your plan here? Just never talk to them again. That's the current trajectory. Greg was quiet for a moment. You know they're probably going to lose the house. I'm aware. And you're okay with that. Greg, let me ask you something. If someone told you that you were the reason for all their problems, then asked you to keep giving them money, would you do it? Fair point. I spent 3 years helping them out, paid thousands of dollars in rent contributions, never asked for a thank you, never held it over their heads until they started demanding more. And the second I suggested maybe Ashley should contribute something, anything, I became the villain. So yeah, I'm okay with them facing the consequences of their own choices. Can't argue with that logic. Your dad's not going to like my report back to him, though. Tell him whatever you want. My position isn't changing. Greg sighed. Family stuff is always messy. Good luck, Jake. Thanks. You too. That was 3 weeks after the dinner. By week 5, things got interesting. I got a call from their landlord, Phil. Nice enough guy. Owned several rental properties in the area. We'd met a few times when I'd helped my parents with maintenance issues. Jake, I hope you don't mind me calling directly. Your dad gave me your number a while back for emergency contact purposes. What's up? Look, I don't want to put you in an awkward position, but your parents are 2 months behind on rent. They mentioned you usually help them out with payments. I wanted to check if maybe there was an issue with the money transfer or something before I have to take formal action. There's no issue with any transfer. I'm no longer contributing to their rent. Oh, they didn't mention that. They made it sound like there was some kind of banking problem. Of course they did. Nope, I just stopped paying. Family disagreement situation. Phil was quiet for a second. Got it. Well, I appreciate the honesty. Just so you know, I'm going to have to start eviction proceedings if they don't catch up by the end of next month. Company policy. Understood. Do what you need to do. Your dad mentioned maybe you'd be willing to work out some kind of payment plan. That's not happening. Fair enough. Sorry to bother you with this. No problem. You're just doing your job. After we hung up, I felt exactly zero guilt. They'd had 5 weeks to figure something out. Could have sold some stuff. Could have made Ashley get a real job, could have cut back on unnecessary expenses. Instead, they'd apparently told their landlord I'd had some banking error and would be sending money soon. The delusion was honestly impressive. Week 6 brought an unexpected visitor. Ashley showed up at my workplace. I was on a job site running conduit for a new office building when she appeared in the parking lot trying to get past the construction entrance. The site foreman Randy came to get me. Hey Jake, there's some woman here saying she's your sister, won't leave until she talks to you. Should I call security? Nah, I'll handle it. I walked over to where Ashley was standing by the fence arms, crossed, looking like she'd been crying again. This was her signature move. You can't just show up at my job. You won't answer your phone because I don't want to talk to you. That's generally what ignoring someone's calls mean. Jake, please, we're going to lose the house. Mom and Dad can't afford it without your help. Then maybe they should have thought about that before telling me I was the source of all their problems. That was a misunderstanding. Really? Because Dad seemed pretty clear about it, made a whole announcement and everything. Ashley's lip trembled. We didn't mean it like that. You just took it the wrong way. How exactly should I have taken, you're the reason this family has problems? We were trying to say your attitude causes conflict, not that you're literally the problem. Weird distinction, but okay. Either way doesn't change anything. Jake, I'm begging you, please start helping with the rent again. We're desperate. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. The moment when one of them finally admitted they needed me specifically for financial reasons, not because they valued me as a family member. Let me ask you something, Ashley. Do you think I'm judgmental and unsupportive? She hesitated, clearly trying to figure out the right answer. Sometimes you can be hard. That's not what I asked. Do you think I'm judgmental and unsupportive? Yes or no? You don't understand what it's like to struggle. That's not an answer. Fine. Yes. Sometimes you're judgmental. Happy very. So why would you want help from someone you think is judgmental? Wouldn't accepting money from me just reinforce all those negative feelings you have about me? It's not about feelings. It's about survival. Exactly. It's not about family or relationships or caring about each other. It's about money. You need my money. So you're here pretending you want a relationship with me. That's not fair. Neither is being called the source of your family's problems. But here we are. Ashley's tears were flowing freely now. Please, Jake, I'm sorry about what I said at dinner. We were all stressed and took it out on you. Just please help us. No. What do you want me to do? Get on my knees and beg? I don't want you to do anything. I want you to leave me alone and figure out your own situation. How are we supposed to do that? Not my problem? You're all adults. Act like it. I walked back to the job site, leaving her crying in the parking lot. Randy gave me a questioning look when I got back. Family stuff, I explained. Looked intense. It was. Let's get back to work. The rest of that day, I worked with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. No guilt, no second guessing, just pure relief at having stood my ground. That weekend, I got an email from Mom. Subject line, please read this. The email was 4 paragraphs of manipulation disguised as heartfelt confession. How they'd made mistakes, but family was supposed to forgive each other. How Ashley was struggling and needed support, not judgment. How Dad's hours had been cut even more and they were facing financial ruin. How I was their only hope to avoid disaster. The last line killed me. We raised you better than this, Jake. Please don't abandon us in our time of need. I deleted it without responding. By week 8, they were officially being evicted. Phil called me again to let me know the court date was set and they had 30 days to vacate the property. Just thought you should know, he said. In case you wanted to, I don't know, help them move or something. Appreciate the heads up. You're really not going to help them. Nope. Can I ask why? Not judging, just curious. So I told him the abbreviated version, the years of being blamed for everything. The Sunday dinner where they officially declared me the problem. The decision to remove myself from the situation. Phil listened, then said, yeah, okay, I get it. That's rough. It is what it is, for what it's worth. Your parents tried to use you as a reason to get an extension, said you were having a medical crisis and would be helping them soon as you recovered. I actually laughed. A medical crisis? Yeah. I asked what kind and your mom got vague about it. That's when I figured something else was going on. They're desperate. Desperate people say desperate things. True enough. Well, good luck with everything. Sorry your family situation is complicated. Thanks, Phil. You too. During those 30 days, the attempts to contact me intensified. Mom started leaving voicemails that were clearly scripted, probably written by Dad. Long speeches about forgiveness, about how families overcome obstacles together, about how I was breaking her heart. Ashley tried the friend angle, having mutual acquaintances reach out to me with messages about how worried they were about her. One girl I'd gone to high school with actually cornered me at the grocery store. Hey, Jake, haven't seen you in forever. Listen, I ran into Ashley the other day and she mentioned you guys were going through something. She seems really torn up about it. We're fine, I said, trying to move past her to the checkout. She said, you guys might lose your childhood home. That must be so hard for everyone. It's their rental house, not my childhood home, and it's their responsibility, not mine. The girl looked taken back by my tone. Oh, I just thought, since your family works both ways, have a good one. I left her standing there looking confused. Probably went right back to Ashley to report that I was being cold and unfeeling. Perfect. Let them paint me as the villain. I'd rather be the villain than the mark. Dad tried the professional angle. Having a coworker of his who I'd met once call me about a business opportunity. Took me 5 minutes to figure out it was just a ploy to get me on the phone so Dad could ambush the call. Jake, hey, it's Tom from your dad's office. Listen, your dad's here and really needs to talk to you about something important. Can I put him on? No thanks, Tom. Tell him to email me if it's actually important. It's about the family situation. He's really struggling here. Then he should probably figure out his priorities. Have a good day. I hung up before Tom could respond. Blocked his number too just in case they tried using it again. The creative desperation was almost impressive. They tried everything except the one thing that might have actually worked. Taking responsibility for their own situation and making real changes. Day 29 of their 30-day notice. Dad called me from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Jake, thank God. Listen, we need to talk face to face. This has gone on long enough. I disagree. Please, just meet me for coffee tomorrow morning, 1 hour. If you still don't want to help after we talk, fine, but give me 1 hour. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Picked a coffee shop near my place. Showed up 15 minutes early to get settled. Dad arrived right on time, looking worse than I'd ever seen him. Dark circles under his eyes, clothes that needed pressing the whole 9 yards. He sat down across from me with his coffee, clearly struggling with how to start. Thank you for meeting me, he finally said. You've got an hour. Okay, Jake, I'm going to be completely honest with you. We made a huge mistake. Which one specifically? All of them. The dinner, the things we said. The way we've treated you, all of it was wrong. Okay. He blinked, clearly expecting more. That's it. Just, okay. What else do you want me to say? I'm apologizing. I'm admitting we were wrong. I heard you. I'm just not sure why you think an apology fixes 3 years of taking advantage of me, followed by blaming me for your problems. It doesn't fix it. I know that, but it's a start. A start toward what rebuilding our relationship being a real family again. I sipped my coffee, watching him squirm. Dad, let me ask you something. If you weren't being evicted, would you be here apologizing? That's not fair. It's a simple question. If everything was fine financially, would you be sitting here telling me you were wrong? He didn't answer. Couldn't answer probably because we both knew the truth. That's what I thought. I said, Jake, please. We're going to be homeless in 2 days. Your mother is having panic attacks. Ashley hasn't stopped crying in a week. We need help. Get help from someone else then. There is no one else. We've borrowed from everyone we can. Greg said no. Your aunt said no. Everyone's tapped out. Sounds like a planning problem. How can you be so cold about this? I'm not being cold. I'm being rational. You created this situation by living beyond your means, refusing to make Ashley contribute, and using me as a personal ATM. Now you're facing the consequences. That's not cold. That's just cause and effect. We're your family. You made it pretty clear at that dinner that being family doesn't mean much when it comes to respecting people or treating them with basic decency. Dad put his head in his hands. When he looked up, there were tears in his eyes. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Just tell me and I'll do it. This was it, the moment where I could either save them or let them drown. The old Jake would have caved immediately, would have felt guilty and opened his wallet, but I wasn't the old Jake anymore. I don't want you to say or do anything. I told him I want you to figure out your own life, get a second job, make Ashley get a full-time job, downsize to something you can actually afford, stop living like someone else is going to bail you out, and you're just going to watch us struggle. I watched myself struggle through college while you paid for Ashley's car and spending money. I watched myself work 70-hour weeks while Ashley lounged around your house rent-free. Yeah, I'm going to watch you struggle. Maybe you'll learn something from it. You're really not going to help us. No. Dad stood up looking defeated. Then I guess we're done here. I guess so. He walked out without another word. I finished my coffee feeling strangely calm. The situation was completely out of my hands now. And honestly, that felt great. 2 days later, they moved out of the house. Greg texted me to let me know they'd found a 2-bedroom apartment in a cheaper part of town. All 3 of them crammed into 900 square feet, which was apparently causing all sorts of new drama. Ashley's furious about sharing a bedroom with your mom, Greg reported. Your dad's sleeping on the couch. It's a mess. They'll figure it out. You really don't feel bad about any of this, not even a little bit. Harsh maybe, but fair. 3 months went by. I heard through the family grapevine that Ashley had finally gotten a full-time job at an animal hospital. Mom had picked up more hours at the dental office. Dad was working 6 days a week. They were making it work barely. But they were making it. Good for them. Month 4 brought an unexpected letter in my mailbox handwritten from Mom. Dear Jake, it started. I'm not writing to ask for money or help. I'm writing because I need to say something I should have said months ago. You were right about everything. About Ashley, about our financial situation, about the way we treated you. We took advantage of your success and generosity, then blamed you when you finally stood up for yourself. That was wrong. You didn't deserve any of it. I hope someday you can forgive us, but I understand if you can't. We're figuring things out on our own now, like we should have been doing all along. Ashley has a full-time job and actually seems happier working regularly. Your father and I are managing our own finances and learning to live within our means. It's hard. But it's teaching us things we should have learned years ago. I miss you. I miss my son. But I understand why you're done with us. Just know that I'm proud of you for standing your ground. Even though it hurt, you're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. Love, Mom. I read it 3 times. It was either genuine growth or a really good manipulation attempt. Either way, it didn't change anything for me. I put the letter in a drawer and went on with my life. Month 6, which brings us to present day. Ashley called me from a new number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Jake, it's Ashley. Please don't hang up. What do you want? Nothing. I mean, I'm not calling to ask for anything. I just wanted to tell you something. Go ahead. You were right about everything. I was a spoiled brat who refused to take responsibility for my own life. I blamed you for my problems because it was easier than admitting I was the problem. And I'm sorry I didn't say anything waiting to see where this was going. I've been working full-time at the animal hospital for 3 months now. I'm paying Mom and Dad rent. I'm saving money. And you know what? I'm not miserable. I'm actually kind of proud of myself for once. I wish it hadn't taken all this for me to grow up, but here we are. Good for you, I said, and meant it. I don't expect you to forgive me or want a relationship with me. I just wanted you to know that you were right to walk away. We needed to hit rock bottom before we could change. Sounds like you're doing better. We are. It's hard, but we're making it work. And we're doing it without expecting you to save us, which feels important somehow. It is important. Yeah, well, that's all I wanted to say. Take care of yourself, Jake. You too, Ashley. She hung up. I sat there for a minute processing the conversation. Maybe they had actually learned something. Maybe the struggle had forced them to grow up. Or maybe they'd just gotten better at manipulation.